She's not broke down. What's going on? Thank you for tuning back into the channel. If you haven't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. My theme is supposed to kick in. Oh well, we don't need it. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. And we're going to get right into it. There it is. All late. Turn it all down. Turn it all down. All late. Theme music's late. But listen, we're going to get right into it tonight. But you got to know where you stand. Are you in the back? Are you in the middle? Or are you in the front? If you've flown on an airplane, let me tell you something. Let me turn my music down. You know there's a difference between being in the back of the plane by the bathroom and being in the middle where you can see. Then you got the middle where you can see, we sit by the window where you can't see nothing. Then you got first class where you can see everything up front. So where do you stand? Where do you sit? Middle class, are you middle class or are you poor? Now, question is, they got all these crazy numbers out here, but the numbers change. I think this, look, my personal opinion is this. It's not where you, are you middle class or are you poor? How much money you got? And what can you afford to do? What can you afford not to do? Because some people, they're making a good salary, but they're up in a lot of debt. They got a lot of debt. So now your net income is terrible. So therefore, if you had to pay off all your debts and you had all your money left over, you wouldn't have any. You might be negative. So it's a lot to do with, do you have money or do you not have money? Now, the poor is a mentality. Poor, because listen, you can make $1 million and still have poor thinking and you still be a poor person. You can be poor in spirit, okay? Like me, I'm not rich financially, but I'm rich in spirit. You can be poor in spirit too, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the rich class, the poor class, and the middle class, okay? Now, everybody here, I'm middle class this, I'm middle class that. What is the middle class number? Because let's not forget, most people are out here living off salaries. Well, my salary is $130,000. $200,000, but you pay taxes though, so it's probably $30,000 less than that. So you out here flogging. That's what we like to say back home. You flogging, front, or some people like to say, damn, all the words. Damn, what are the new words out there? Cap. There we go. Man, I'm showing my age. Cap. Well, I say you lying. I'd like to do you lying. Everybody know what lying is. You lying, but you capping because people like to say, oh, I'm making this and that, but you got to pay taxes. You're not living off all of that. Just because you got nice things don't mean you got the money. Because a lot of people wearing Gucci, Prada, all this other stuff, but they don't have no money in the bank, no savings, no health insurance. You need that stuff. But let's get right to it. Let's get to this. Let me show you this article that we got. Before we had to get into a video, let's get into this video and see what is up with the middle class. Because, we had to break it down. What is middle class?
Between a rock and a hard place. You're in a spot where everyone's like, hey, you're doing better than low class, you're doing great, you should be fine, and you're underneath the people who are actually doing fine.
It was at least a secure category. Your kids would go to a school that you felt at least okay about. You probably own a car or two, and you'd own your own home, and you could pay for your kids' college educations. So there were certain kinds of assumptions around being a middle-class person that have sort of shattered.
A survey in 2018 found that a third of middle-income adults don't have $400 to cover an unexpected expense.
In polls, when people are asked about being middle class, they frequently are less likely to say so, and more people now urge the pollsters to suggest that they're working class. So I think that many people who maybe in prior years would have thought of themselves as middle class.
Middle class. I forgot about that. You also got working class. You got people who consider themselves working class as well. But the question is, what is the number? What are these numbers? How much does this stuff really cost? People say, not how much does it cost, but how much do you need to be middle class? How much do you need to be rich? How much do you need to be poor? Now, I wanted to run some numbers. Couple of numbers say this. Where are we at? Minimum wage. I had to get to my minimum wage numbers. Let me show my screen. Minimum wage, because you had to figure out, well, what's the bottom? What's the bottom? What is poor class? You got to be paying people something. What is that number made up of? Aha, here we go. So here's this list. I have this list, minimum wage facts and analysis. I wanted to find out what is minimum wage in all 50 states because there's poor and zero, and then there's minimum wage. You got minimum wage, okay? So Alabama minimum wage is $7.25. That's like $5.25 after taxes. So as I noticed, you look at this list, none of these places got major cities. Alabama, $7.25. Idaho, $7.25. Indiana, $7.25. Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi. I'm not surprised about that. New Hampshire, North Dakota, North Carolina minimum wage, $7.25. I don't know what is this list? I don't think minimum wage is North Carolina. I lived in North Carolina. It can't be that low. Wyoming and Wisconsin. When was this list made? 2023. So this list is fairly new. All right, let's click on this. North Carolina. I know a little bit about North Carolina. Guys live there. More on NC. Standard minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. Tip minimum wage, $2.13. So that means you make tips. They're going to pay you $2.13. If you don't make a certain amount, they have to cover the difference, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how much the tip wages are in North Carolina. $7.25, that is nothing. That is pocket money. What are you going to do with that? Nothing. You got to have a roommate. If you make $7.25, you might be in the poor class, but here's the thing. Just because you make $7.25 doesn't mean you're getting 40 hours a week. What a lot of companies like to do is they'll have you at like 38, 39 hours for a few weeks. Then they'll cut you down to 20 because they don't want to pay your health insurance. Because if you're full time, they got to pay your health insurance. I'm not sure if they have to pay your retirement, but they do have to pay your health insurance. And this is a way that they keep a lot of people in the poor class because, number one, you don't have the uncertainty of how many hours you're going to work. Are you going to work 40? Are you going to work 30? That's a lot of uncertainty in your income, and it's hard to make it. So what do people do? They go get a second job to go cover those costs and make up that income. It's a tough thing. I know how it goes. Let's look at somewhere else. Well, let's look at another state, for example, a higher paying state, California. I'm familiar with California. Where you at, California? California, $15.50. Not bad. It's not terrible. Oh, but they haven't broken down a local exception. So let's see in Los Angeles Los Angeles City, $16.78. Now I know In-N-Out, for example, the burger chain out there, they pay $20.50, so which was above this. Los Angeles City, $16.28. Los Angeles County, $16.90. Who's paying the highest? Does anybody pay 18? Excuse me. San Francisco pays 18 because we already know San Francisco's high. But look at the problem they have. A lot of homelessness, a lot of places are slowing down. So is that 1807 really helping people right now? Probably not. And then West Hollywood, 1908. Now West Hollywood is another side of Los Angeles where a lot of the LGBTQ LMO people live. They live out in that area. And that's probably why they pay. Because let me tell you something. You don't see any LGBTs homeless. I haven't seen none of that. They always got a nice place to stay. I'm just saying. So these minimum wages just keeps you in poverty. But what I was thinking about was this. This is what I was thinking. I said, you know what? Where does the poor class come from? They got to come from somewhere. How do these people end up like this? Realistically, if you really want to think about it, the school system feeds into the poor class. It sure does, because if you graduate from college, you're qualified to wage what? Minimum wage. And what is minimum wage considered? The poor class. That's what they consider the poor class. This is not people who don't have a lot of money. I don't even like the poor class because that's name calling, that's judging people. And people usually don't stay there that long. You're only there for a few minutes. But before we keep going, let's take a quick break and check out some ads. What's up, people? Thank you for tuning back into my channel. I got some new merch for you. I got hats, I got mugs, and I got the new Cheap Not Broke shirt with the patch on them. This stuff is official. I got it hot off the press, sewn on just for you. I got black, red, and white. Head over to cheapnotbroke.com and grab your merch. Head all over to cheapnotbroke.com, grab some merch, grab some stuff to keep you warm. Check out my comedy special, Who is Malcolm? You'll really enjoy it. A lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. Who is Malcolm? Anyway, back to the rich class and poor class. Yes, some of those states are paying $7.25, but they don't have major cities, and they just don't pay. Now, I think a lot of this rich middle class, poor class, it depends on where you live, because some places just don't pay a lot of money. As you've seen on our list here, a lot of these states do not pay well, so that's why you're going to have your poor class or your people who are just low income. Let's call them low income. Let's not call them poor class. Let's say low income. Low income is better. Low income. A lot of people are low income. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. How much is Iowa? I mean, you don't know anybody from Iowa. $7.25. Kentucky, not a popular state. $7.25. New York. How much is minimum wage? That's not a that's very $14.20. Now, I've been in New York. There's no way you're gonna make it on $14.20. You're gonna need 2 roommates, because if you're making $14.20, you may or may not be working 40 hours a week, and that's not enough time to get you paid. That's not enough time for you to pay your rent, have your own place. It's not enough. You need more time than that. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about this whole rich middle class versus poor class. Your debt. If you lose your job, can you still stay in your same class? Because we saw in the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs and they were upended, and they lost a lot of things. They didn't have a lot of ways to pay for this stuff. So, can you keep if you lose your job, can you still pay for everything? Can you still live the life that you were living before? But while we're talking about being in the low income class, how much does it take to have we're in the high income cities? How much does it take to have a lot of money in some of these cities? Shall we? Let's take a look and see how much does it cost to be considered rich in some of these cities. Here's how much money it takes to be considered wealthy in 13 major cities. Number 1, San Francisco, but they're not doing very well. They're falling apart, 4.7 million. New York, 33 million. Southern California includes Los Angeles, San Diego, 3.5. Seattle, 31. Washington, D.C., 3. Chicago, 2.3. Houston, Boston, Dallas, Denver, and so forth, 2.5. But these are all major cities. Now the question for you is, what happens if you go to a city that's not that popular? Can you still capitalize and make more money? Let's say you go to rural Florida and they're not charging you state taxes. Can you still win and get by, make that same kind of money? Of course you can. You're going to actually make more money because you're not paying taxes on that money. So that is a great deal, an amazing deal. But my thing, here's the thing. The middle class, the poor class, it's all social constructs. You know, in America, I don't even know what rich is. Like, what is rich? Like $10, $20 million? Because we hear rich people going broke all the time. Because it seems like a lot of rich people, when they make a lot more money, they buy more stuff and they end up broke anyway. Yeah, you got $3 or $4 million, but you're spending $10 million. You're broke. You're broke. So you're still in the middle class too. It might seem like you're rich. It might seem like that, but the thing is, if you're making $3 or $4 million and you're spending all that money, you're back in the middle class with everybody else. So, and it's like I said, the schools adding to our low income places? Because if you get a low income job, you got to get a high school diploma. High school diploma. It doesn't qualify you to do much, but it qualifies you to make $15, $20 an hour. So the question is, are the schools feeding into the low income, poverty, under middle class people? Is that the question? I think it is. So look, if you got a shout out to whoever's watching right now. Thank you for tuning in. Question for you. Do you believe the schools are contributing to low income, people who make low income? Because here's the thing. If you work a lot of retail jobs that don't pay, you still need a high school diploma. You have people who come from other countries that can work the same job and don't have to have a high school diploma. Shouldn't there be a difference in pay? I don't know, but there definitely isn't right now. But the question is this. If a person is in middle class, can you stay in middle class if you're not employed? Because we saw during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs. They got furloughed. Now they're getting unemployment when it was great. But could you still live the same life you were living without that job? The answer is no for a lot of people. A lot of people can't. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck with that job. And if you lose that job for 6 months, you can't make that mortgage payment, can't make that car payment, can't send the kids to school. You need that stuff. So question yourself, ask yourself, am I really in the middle class? If I stopped working for a year and I had to pay my own health insurance out of my pocket, can I still go on vacation? Can I still go out to eat and have a nice dinner? Can I buy me some new clothes when I need it? That's really when you find out if you're middle class when you're not. When the job is gone or your income slows down, can you still make it? That's what you really want to know. That's what you really know. Now, as far as being low income, you got to be on a lot of government assistance. Nothing wrong with it. But here's the thing. The government assistance keeps you where you at. The government assistance is not assisting you. It's assisting you down. Because when you get on government assistance, why would they let you get college free education? They're not. They might let you go to community college, but they're damn sure not paying you to go to state university. A lot of people like, look, you get food stamps. Everybody got to eat. You get you might get some assistance getting housing. It's not going to be the best, but you can stay here. Do you get assistance with getting a car? No. Do they give you assistance with what besides food? They give you some assistance for other things, but not too much. Not too much. Shout out to everybody watching right now. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like button. Question of tonight is, are you in the rich class or are you in the poor class? That is. And like I'm saying, my question is, what I'm arguing is, it goes up and down because you got rich people. You got athletes who sit up in the rich class. While they're playing ball, they're rich. Then they retire from playing ball. They're not making the same income. They can't live the same life they want to live. They slide down in the middle class. Some people are always in the middle class. They're the upper middle class, making $300,000-$400,000 a year, which is cool, but you still got to get taxed on the money. They don't even talk about taxes. Even when they're doing your low income salary, how much do you make? They always go by the gross. They don't account for taxes, and the government is taxing you. They're playing the game. They got you putting down, I make $23,000 a year. Actually, you make $19,000 because they took $4,000 in taxes, but they wrote the law, and they're not giving you no slack. So ain't that a bitch? They're really trying to hit you over the side of the head. And this question has been going around for a long time. Are you middle class? Are you low income? What are you? It depends on how you're spending your money. Because you can be making $200,000 a year. You got 2 car payments that are $600 a piece. You could be in a house or apartment paying $3,500 a month. Can you really afford it? Probably not. You probably can't afford it. The taxes change everything. Man, what's up? Shout out to E for tuning in, man. Appreciate you. The taxes change everything. Here's what's so crazy about it. You can't do the taxes on your own. You can't. Nobody at home can sit at home and just put in the calculator and do your taxes. You got to hire somebody to help you with your taxes. That's why it's a game. If they really want you to know taxes, why they want to talk about that in school? At no point in time are you taught how to fill out a 1040. Are you taught about what a 1099 is? None of this stuff. You don't know anything about no damn taxes, but you're going to pay them. If you got a job in high school, you got to pay taxes, right? But they don't teach you how to fill out the form. You got to go ask your mom, hey, do I need to put down on a dependent or do I put down 0? I don't know. I had to ask my parents this stuff. Those taxes, they'll keep you in the lower income class or they'll keep you middle class if you're not paying them on time. Or they'll just take you out altogether because you cannot pay your taxes, still got to pay a fee, and they'll put you in jail. You lose all your stuff. You can't work, come back out of jail. What you supposed to do then? They're cheating you. So this middle class, and here's another thing about the middle class. A lot of people stay in the middle class because the government keep us there. Who's writing tickets? When you see the police writing tickets, I live in LA. Let me tell you something. I've never seen the police give tickets to the rich people. You got Beverly Hills where they live up in the hills and where they go where people with the money live. They don't write tickets out there. They don't do DOI checkpoints over there either. But in the other neighborhoods where you got the middle class, low income people, that's where they set up those DUI checkpoints, $10,000 a pop if you get caught doing that. They write speeding tickets. They got the cameras where they if you go too fast, they'll hit you with a ticket. All that stuff is where the quote middle class and low income people are. They don't do this stuff to rich people. How long have they been trying to tax the rich and they can't get that done? They just can't get it done. They're like, oh, we're going to tax the rich. They're not doing it because the rich people write the law. The middle class is getting taxed the heaviest, and that's why you stay in the middle class because the government keeps us there. They keep a lot of us there. They're always hitting you with something. Not only you're trying to climb out the middle class, got to pay taxes. Every year you got to get that registration fee. You don't pay your registration fee, you're going to jail. So you're telling me what? I just paid my car off, and I got to pay for the same ragged ass tag every year. Tag costs you $138. They don't give you no discount. They don't give you no nothing. And then if you have a situation with your car accident, you got to pay the deductible. I just paid my tag. Now you got to pay the deductible. And then on top of that, you still got to make your payment for the month. And why do you have to pay car insurance? Because the government makes it mandatory. A lot of this middle class stuff is because the government keeps us there. They're always taxing us, taking money out your check as soon as you get it. And then some people just, they just don't make enough. You don't have a job that's paying enough. Like if you live in New York City and Los Angeles, some people are middle class because they got a roommate. You got a roommate. So it's like, okay, I'm middle class. I got a roommate. But here's the thing. If you didn't have a roommate, you couldn't stay here. You have to go home. So are you middle class or are you not? Are you not really middle class? It's a tough question to ask yourself. You got to really pull out your books and do your books, do your taxes, and ask, are you middle class? My question, if you can travel, go on vacation, take care of your kids, feed your family, there's nothing wrong with being middle class. It's when stuff come up. You get that flat tire. It's when you get an unexpected bill from the IRS. It's when, you lose your job. You can lose your job for a couple months. Unemployment only pays what, $500. It doesn't pay a third of what most people pay. If you get in that situation, can you still make it? That's when you know if you're rich, middle class, or poor. Rich people, they cannot work for a year, continue to live their life as is, and keep making money. And they probably can call a buddy or two and get some money, and they'll donate some money to them, give them some money, they're fine. Middle class people, it's different. You still got to pay bills. You might make money. You got a job. But if you lost that job for 90 days, where are you at? Can you still make your mortgage payment? Can you make the car payment? Can you pay your rent? A lot of us, you can't. I'm one of them. I'm middle class, might be lower middle class, because if I'm not working, I don't have my job, I can't make it a year without doing something. I got to go back to working in probably 90 days. Now, I've taken off 6 months before in the past, but I plan for that. But to unexpectedly stop working, lose my job, can I still make it out here? Nope, I can't. So that's where I know. I'm on the middle class, but damn it, I can slide my ass down to the poor class real quick. It's not hard. It's not hard. And a lot of people out here playing games, parading around, spending all their money, buying all these clothes, stuff like that, and like they're in the rich class. You're in the middle class. You're in the middle class. If you're in the rich class, when you buy a plane ticket, you don't look and see. You don't fly Spirit. You don't be like, let me see how the basic economy is. You just buy that shit and go. That's what rich people do. But like I said, you can make a lot of bad decisions, not pay your taxes, and end up not so rich and end up in a bad situation. So that's how it goes. But here's the thing. Let's ask. I got a real quick article. How do they measure poverty? Because you got to know how they measure poverty. Hold on, it says those taxes havens, those rich use are a huge secret to success. Man, let me tell you something. You're absolutely right about that. I work in the county. Let me tell you something about the tax haven. Tell y'all something about the tax haven. Tax havens work for rich people because you got to be able to afford to pay somebody to do the work. Here's the thing. You got a lot of people out here that are doing their own taxes. If you're doing TurboTax, you're losing. I'm telling you right now. You're doing TurboTax, right? There's somebody paying a person $100 an hour to do their taxes. Who do you think gonna come out on top? TurboTaxes is cool if you got simple taxes, you're not doing too much. But I advise anybody, pay somebody to do your taxes. Tax code change every year, and you might miss out on a couple $1,000s because something you didn't know. So shout out to E for bringing up that point. Those tax havens are cool because rich people know they're willing to pay the money. They'll pay somebody $1,000, $2,000 to go do some research and dig and help them save some money. A lot of people in the middle class don't want to do that. So that's why you can't come up on the tax game. If you're on this right now, if you don't have a tax professional, find somebody to help you navigate your taxes because there's a lot of stuff out there that you just don't know and that you can capitalize on. Now hold on. Let me break this down to you. There's the tax preparer and then the tax professional. Not the same thing. When you go to H&R Block, when you go to Jackson Hewitt, those are tax preparers. They're just going to prep the taxes. They're not getting too complicated. Tax professional, CPA, you got to pay them by the hour, but they'll keep you out of jail and they'll keep you from having to owe the IRS some money. Shout out to E for bringing up that point. I appreciate that. How is poverty measured in the United States? Boom. How is poverty measured in the United States? Let's see. I want to know where those numbers at. Poverty. Here you go. Officially poverty. Pre-tax cash income. Boom. This was proving my point. Pre-tax cash income. So what are they saying? If you make $60,000, you're going to be considered, whenever they consider how much you make, it's going to be at 60. It's not going to be at that actual, you might be making 51, 50 because you're taking the taxes. Pre-tax cash income. Resources considered. Expenses considered. Here's it. 3 times the cost of minimum food diet in 1963 in today's prices. 1963. They're using some scale from 1963. Okay. Other adjustments. None. They don't consider nothing else. Level consistent across. They don't consider child support. They don't consider nothing else. They consider pre-tax income, and they consider 3 times the cost of your minimum food diet in 1963. So this stuff is all, the numbers are already skewed. They're already in a situation to keep you behind, and they're not in your favor. I just wanted to show y'all that real quick to let you know that whenever the government's trying to figure out what your income is, the numbers are never fair. They're not going to look at the bottom line like, hey, yes, on paper I made 60, but I actually only made 49 because I had to pay taxes, plus your health insurance, plus your retirement. You got to pay all that stuff. All that stuff is coming out your check, and they're not accounting for it. So when somebody's like, making, I think in California, the medium income, the lowest income you can make to qualify for stuff is $17,000. I had a situation where somebody hit my car like years and years ago, and I needed a lawyer. I said, well, I don't have a lawyer. So let me call. Somebody provided me some resources. Said you can call, and the state will provide a lawyer for you. I said, cool. You had to make $17,000 to get that lawyer. I said, $17,000. That means if you make $17,000, you don't work. Where you work like part-time some of the time. There's part-time, but you got to be working part-time some of the time to be making $17,000 a year. There's no way you're going to get by on $17,000. You don't qualify for no apartment, no car. Hell, if you make $17,000 a year, I don't even know if you eat every day. But that's how much they said I had to make $17,000 a year to get a lawyer from the state. Did they give me one? Hell no. And did I get a lawyer? No, because it was too expensive. At the time, I wasn't making enough money. So that didn't work out in my favor. But if you just see here, just take a look at this. Consider this. The government is telling you, we're taking money from you. We tax you every month. All right? But we're not going to consider that. No, we're going to go with the number that's up here. And that's a scam in itself right there. It's a scam in itself, the fact that they don't even consider people's pre-tax dollars. Nobody does. You go get a job. Like, this is what needs to happen. This is my personal opinion. Let's do away with the salary. Just get rid of the salary. We don't need no salary. No. How much are you going to make every 2 weeks? That's what they need to put at the bottom of the job description, because that's what you're working with. I'm not working with the salary. I'm never going to see all that money at one time, but I know how much is going to hit my account every 2 weeks. They need to say $2,107.69. That's how much you're going to get every 2 weeks. Now we're working with something. Take out my health insurance, take out my taxes, and let me know how much I'm going to get. Now I can really see how much I'm working with. How many times, if you're watching right now, drop one in the comment section right now. If you have worked a job and when you got that first paycheck, you were like, what is this? What is this? Because you didn't know. You didn't know how much it was going to be until you got the check. And it's tough because you got to go off those pre-tax dollars, man. It's a shame. It's a sham. And I don't like it. Here's the thing. Before I wrap it up here tonight. The middle class, the poor class, man, forget all that. How much money do you have? How much is your bank account? Are you able to do the things that you need to do? Do you have health insurance? Can you pay your rent? Do you have a car? If you live in a city where you need a car or mortgage, can you pay all that stuff comfortably? That's what middle class really is. Can you pay this stuff comfortably? You probably can if you're working, if you got a job. But like I said, in 2020, when people lost those jobs, where were you? Where did you stand? How long could you make it without having no income coming in? A lot of people can't make it that long. You got to cut off Netflix, Hulu, all the stuff you're enjoying. If you weren't getting paid every 2 weeks, you wouldn't be doing all that. You would cut it all off and shut it all down. Oh, man. Seeing those first checks are shocking. Those taxes change all your plans. Man, so quick story. I had my first check. I was working at a Japanese restaurant, and I got my first check. They paid me my first check. I worked there for about a week. Shout out to E for the comment. I worked there for about a week. And then when I did get the first check, it was my lunch break. I went outside to my car to open up the check. That check was way lower than what I expected. Tell me, what did I do? I drove the fuck off and quit. I just quit on. I said, what? There's no way. There's no way this is my whole check. I didn't go inside the check. I was like 16 at the time, so I was very immature. I looked at my check. I said, they're cheating me. They're cheating me. Job. I said, I'll find another job. YouTube user. I was hurt seeing my first check. Man, it's tough. It's tough because you don't know. You work 2 weeks and you be like, I don't know. It's a little anxiety. It's like, all right, is this be enough? Is this going to be enough? Now, I'm not going to lie. As time went on, I started getting money. You do get that one check. You'd be like, damn, is this it? Oh, I can get used to this. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. YouTube user, shout out for the comment, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in every week, man. It's real stuff. It's real stuff. You get that first check and you're like, man, this ain't enough. I don't know. And you wondering, like, should I quit? I don't know about y'all, but I've been at the job like my first 3 days looking for another job. Like, man, I got to get up out of here. This is not enough money. They're not paying me enough. But then later, as time went on, I got some better jobs and the checks were good. I'm like, okay, this money's great. But here's the thing. You never get used to the money. The money be good for like a year. Then you need some more money and some more money. That's just how it goes. But no matter how much money you make, if you're in debt, you're spending all that money, they're taxing you to death, you'll be in the middle class. Nothing wrong with being in the middle class. It's just, if your job get cut off, can you survive? That's the question. A lot of people come in. There's just people who don't make a lot of money that are considered low income. We get that. And, if you have to get stuff off the system, who gives a damn? Because you're paying taxes anyway. You're entitled to that money. But for those who don't do that, for those people who are just middle class, making a living, nothing wrong with that. You got to save some money, though. You got to have some money in the bank for a rainy day. Everybody should. You got to be able to pay rent for like 2 months, mortgage, whatever the case. You got to be able to survive like 2 or 3 months without your job. A year, that's a whole nother thing. But if they ever pull that rug from up under you, you can't stress out. Just like me. I lost my job one time. I thought the world was coming to an end. I was the worst person you wanted to be around. I was just in a bad shape. But since that time, I realized I can't live like that. Let me do a better job of managing my money. So I make sure I save a ton of money. So if something does happen, I'm be like, okay, I'm straight. I'm good. Let me move on to the next opportunity, because the next opportunity, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 is better than the one you just had. So be aware of that. Middle class, poor class. Don't let nobody shame you for whatever you are. If you're middle class, who gives a damn? We're not sitting around counting everybody's dollars like, I'm middle class, I'm poor class. Nobody's counting anybody up. It's a social thing. It's a social thing because people say they're rich, but you're in so much debt, you're not really. It's the person who's middle class, they're doing better, and who's in the middle class, they're doing better than you, than the rich person. Why? Because they don't have no debt and they're just paying for everything cash and they're doing well. So that's what it all boils down to. Man, I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Rich class, poor class, what are you? Ask yourself. If you haven't, go to cheapnotbroke.com. Check out the website. You can always hit the Cash App. We appreciate everybody who donates. Those who do, thank you. Those who don't, thank you. You appreciate it. I just appreciate y'all tuning in and rocking with me. Rocking with me, that's important. And we're going to be back on Monday with some new stuff. If you got it before I go, drop a comment. Let me know, what do you want me to talk about next week? If there's anything you want to talk about, I will gladly do so. I will do the research. I'll come with the articles, get the videos. Y'all know how I do. I'm about them facts over here at Cheap Not Broke. I'm not just talking about the side of my neck. I don't think you can talk about the side of your neck, but people say that's a dumb saying. I don't know what it is. I got to look that up and see what it's about. On Monday, I'll find out what that's about. But anyway, Monday, we're going to be back with something else. I don't know what the topic's going to be, but I'm going to figure it out over this weekend. If you got anything you want me to talk about, hit me up on Instagram. Drop it. I will definitely talk about it. I have no problem doing the research and diving in so I can help my people who watch the channel. We can all talk about stuff that we want to talk about, not just what I think is important. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Have a good evening. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you next time.